Welcome to the deep dive. If you've ever been walking along a tropical beach, maybe you've seen it, the sort of beautiful iridescent blue bubble just floating there. But today we're heading out into those warm waters all over the globe to really look at a creature that's, well, it's both magnificent and, frankly, terrifying, the Portuguese Man O War.
Yeah, our sources really paint a picture, don't they? Like these delicate, almost blown glass sculptures with the sort of satin frills attached. But then those frills lead down to tentacles that can stretch, what, up to 30 meters long?
Yeah.
It's hard to even picture. And we're diving into this because this creature, this thing, it really makes you question what it even means to be a single animal.
That's absolutely the heart of it today. We really need to unpack its biology, which is bizarre to say the least, highly specialized, and also understand its global impact, especially, with ocean climates changing so rapidly. And just see why the Man O War is so much weirder than the jellyfish people often think it is. Well, it's a masterpiece of colonial life, really. Okay, but before we get into the biology deep dive, let's talk about that name, the Portuguese Man O War. It gives you such a strong image.
It does. It comes directly from those old 15th century sailing ships, the Portuguese and Spanish caravels, like Columbus used.
Ah, right. And when you see that bladder part sticking out of the water.
You totally see it. The resemblance is uncanny.
But it's not just how it looks, is it?
No, exactly. That's what's fascinating. The resemblance is functional, too. That beautiful, purple-blue gas-filled bladder, part above the water, its job is, well, twofold. Keep the whole colony floating, obviously, but it also acts like a sail.
A sail?
Yeah, literally catches the wind. It's basically this organic sailing ship using wind and currents to travel across the oceans.
That's a perfect lead-in, because if you've always just pictured this as some kind of jellyfish, well, you're missing the really big biological twist here. This thing isn't really an animal, not in the way we usually think of one.
Okay, so that's the main thing, right? The big reveal we need to get straight. The Portuguese Man O War is not one single animal. It's a whole colony. It's what we call a siphonophore.
A siphonophore. Okay, that sounds technical. What does that actually mean for what it is?
It means it's not an individual. It's more like a collective. Thousands of genetically identical clones all living and working together. These clones are called zoids. And here's the really key part. Each zoid is itself a multicellular organism, an individual creature technically.
Right.
But they're all specialized, different shapes, different sizes, each doing a very specific job for the survival of the whole colony. Think extreme division of labor.
Right, okay. This is where my mind starts to bend a bit. Because, if you told me my brain cells and my skin cells have the same DNA but look different, I'd just say, yeah, okay, that's just biology. Specialized cells.
Exactly, and that's the difference. Humans, other animals, were collections of specialized cells forming tissues and organs. The Man O War takes it a step further. It's a collection of specialized multicellular organisms, these zoids acting like organs for the colony. So you have one whole little organism, a zoid that just does stinging, another whole organism that just does digestion.
So hang on. We're talking about thousands of tiny individual animals, all clones basically glued together, acting like one giant floating creature.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
It's honestly kind of insane how this works. This level of organization, functioning is one thing, mobile, very successful. And the individual zoids, they can't survive on their own. The colony only works because of all these specialized parts working together.
Which brings us to how it's actually built, this biological machine. You said the zoids form different units.
Yeah, there are four main types, sort of grouped by function and where they sit. So above the water, that's the bit everyone recognizes. That's the pneumatophore, the float, the sail. Its whole job is just flotation and, catching the wind. It holds gases like nitrogen, argon, keeps the whole thing on the surface.
Okay, the sail. Then below the water. That's where the scary bits are.
That's where you find the hunters. The dactylozoids, those are the long, trailing tentacles, the ones that can be tens of meters long. Their only job is to find and capture prey. Fish, squid, that sort of thing.
But once they catch something, paralyze it.
Right. Then the prey gets moved up towards another set of zoids. These are the gastrozoids.
Yeah.
The digestive ones.
Gastro, like stomach.
Exactly. They basically surround the prey, secrete enzymes to liquefy it, and then absorb the nutrients. They have these little mouth-like openings.
Okay, sail, tentacles, digestion. What's the fourth?
Reproduction. You need zoids for that, too. Those are the gonozoids.
Makes sense. The colony needs to reproduce.
And they're quite interesting. They produce both sperm and eggs. And it seems the Man O War can reproduce both sexually, releasing these gametes, and perhaps asexually, too. Gives them options. The embryos that form, they actually live as tiny plankton for a while, drifting. until they get big enough to start building their own little pneumatophore, their own float, and then pop up to the surface to start a whole new colony.
It really sounds like this perfectly efficient, specialized evolutionary marvel. But like we said, that marvel is also a pretty effective weapon, which brings us back to those tentacles, the dactylozoids. You mentioned capturing prey. They're packed with these stinging cells, right? Nematocysts.
Yes, tons of them. Think of them like microscopic hypodermic needles coiled up under pressure inside tiny capsules. The slightest touch, friction, anything, and they fire. Instantly, they harpoon the victim and inject this really potent venom. It's protein-based, powerful enough to kill small fish, mollusks pretty much instantly, paralyzes larger prey very quickly.
And for humans, the sting sounds awful.
It is. Immediate, really intense pain. Can last for hours, sometimes even lingering effects for months.
And the visual, sources say it looks like a burn from red-hot rebar, just these huge, angry welts.
Yeah, very dramatic reaction, which raises a really important safety point. How long are they dangerous? A lot of people don't realize this, but those nematocysts stay loaded and active even after the man o' war is dead.
Yeah.
Even if it washes up on the beach and dries out in the sun.
Oh.
Yeah, still dangerous. So, rule number 1, never ever touch one you find on the sand.
And given how many there can be, the scale of the danger is pretty shocking. I saw a figure, man o' war and jellyfish combined cause something like 150 million stings a year.
That's the estimate. It's huge. And sometimes conditions are just right for these massive groups, these legions, to hit coastlines. You mentioned that 2018 event. Over 200 people stung basically at once. It happens.
And while most stings are just incredibly painful, they can be worse, right?
They can. In severe cases, the venom can cause systemic effects. Shock, breathing problems. And yes, unfortunately, it can sometimes be fatal. It's rare, but it happens.
Okay, so crucial information. If you get stung, what do you actually do? Forget the myths.
Right, forget peeing on it. That doesn't work. Science points pretty clearly to heat, hot water, specifically water over 45 degrees Celsius, that's about 113 Fahrenheit, applied for maybe 20 minutes.
Why hot water?
It helps break down the proteins in the venom, denatures them. That seems to be the most effective first aid.
Good to know. And definitely no vinegar or, urine. Don't add insult to injury.
Please don't.
Okay, so moving away from the immediate danger and more into their role in the ocean. They're obviously effective predators. Floating in these huge groups, you call them legions. So the vast, deadly nets sweeping through the water.
Yeah, they can have a big impact on fisheries. They just drift through, paralyzing small fish, and then the gastrozoids do their work.
So if they're that deadly, does anything actually eat them?
Good question. Very few things. But yes, there are some specialists that have figured it out, developed immunity. We're talking things like the huge ocean sunfish, mola mola. Loggerhead turtles, their skin is thick enough. And then there are a couple of really cool mollusks, the violet sea snail and this amazing sea slug called the blue dragon, or blue sea swallow.
A sea slug eating a man o' war. How?
Well, these predators are generally adapted to eating jellyfish, which have similar stinging cells, so they have some level of immunity. But the blue dragon does something even cooler. It actually eats the nematocysts, the stinging cells.
No way.
Yeah, it sequesters the most potent ones and then uses them for its own defense. Puts them in its own tissues. Talk about recycling.
That's incredible. Nature is wild.
It really is.
But it's not just predators, right? There's also this weird relationship with a specific fish, the man o' war fish.
Ah, yes, Nomeus granovi, this little striped fish. It's fascinating. It lives almost its entire life right in amongst those deadly tentacles.
Seriously, how does it survive?
Well, it gets protection, right? Bigger fish aren't going to risk swimming into that mess of tentacles to get it. And it gets food. It nibbles on the man o' war's leftovers, scraps for its meals. Sometimes it even seems to eat the smaller tentacles themselves, the less potent ones.
Is that like the clownfish in the anemone? Does it have some kind of protective slime?
That's the common comparison, but no,
Okay.
That's the crucial difference. The clownfish has mucus that protects it, the man o' war fish. It has nothing like that. It relies purely on speed and incredible agility, just dodging and weaving constantly.
So one wrong move.
One wrong move, it gets stung, paralyzed, and becomes food for the very thing that was protecting it. It's living life on a knife edge.
Wow. And maybe the most mind-blowing detail of all, this incredibly successful, complex, dangerous creature. It doesn't even have a brain.
Not a central one, no. It's all driven by instinct, reflexes, programmed responses from the zoids, and of course the wind and the currents. It's essentially an automaton.
And that brainless efficiency, that seems to be key to its success, especially now.
Absolutely. That adaptability, that efficiency, combined with warming oceans, it means their range is just huge, and it's expanding. They're expected to colonize, potentially, most of the temperate seas around the planet, which is, where most people live along the coasts.
We're already seeing them pop up in places way outside the tropics, right? Canada, Scotland, UK, down to New Zealand, Tasmania,
Yeah.
Florida, obviously.
Exactly. They're incredibly widespread, North Atlantic, Pacific, Southern Ocean.
But there's a potential upside to them being so passive, just drifting.
There is. Because their movement is entirely dictated by wind and water currents, they have zero control over where they go. Scientists can actually model and predict their movements.
Like forecasting the weather, but for Man O War.
Sort of, yeah. They treat the man o' war basically like a tiny sailboat. If you know the wind speed, the currents, the drag coefficient of that pneumatic, you can build mathematical models to predict where these large groups, these legions, are likely to end, days in advance, potentially.
So they could predict an arrival on, say, the coast of Spain or France.
Exactly. Places like the Basque Coast, which gets them periodically. They're using really complex computer models now, factoring in aerodynamics, hydrodynamics. It's getting quite sophisticated.
So connecting this back, this creature is almost perfectly designed to take advantage of warming
It
oceans.
seems that way. Warmer water means a larger potential habitat. So as the oceans continue to heat up, we can probably expect to see more of them in more places.
Which means that future reality where beachgoers check the weather and the Man O War report, that might not be so far off.
It really might not be. So when you pull it all together, this deep dive really shows us something remarkable. How this simple colony of clones, no brain at all, can become one of the most effective and dangerous colonizers of the world's oceans, driven entirely by the environment and this incredible specialization.
Yeah, we've really seen why it's so often misclassified, how it works as this kind of superorganism built from these 4 different types of zoids, and why it's becoming increasingly relevant to basically anyone who enjoys the coast, anywhere in the world. You need to be aware of this thing.
Which leaves us with maybe one final, slightly provocative thought for you to chew on. Given that this is a colony, thousands of genetically identical multicellular organisms, each with a specialized role, all working together, how far is that, really, from some kind of collective consciousness, even without a brain? What does survival even look like when the individual is just a temporary part of this permanent wind-driven machine?